Hi, welcome to a new episode of Just a Jet Ago podcast, and it is my long-awaited 30th episode. Oh my god, it means that I've been uploading an English podcast for 30 weeks, maybe 31 weeks, because I think I skipped the last week, haven't I? And I'm sorry, I already made up my mind to upload every week. No reason whatsoever, but life happens. I wasn't extremely busy, but sorry, I'm making excuses, but here I am, and this is my 30th episode. I can't believe it. You know what? The first time that I made up my mind to make my own podcast was, so the main goal was to be consistent rather than making a good quality, because I knew that, according to my character, I knew that I wouldn't be able to be consistent if my main goal was to have a great quality of the episodes, because I'm kind of a lazy perfectionist. I'm kind of a lazy perfectionist, and because I know my character, I knew that if I keep looking for a good quality of an episode, for example, writing scripts every day and kind of always making a perfect plan and perfect script for the episode, is not going to make me consistent. But here I am. It's my 30th episode. Compared to the other amazing podcasters, I know that I'm nothing. I'm just a little dust to them. The 30th episode. I've been listening to Chris Williamson's The Modern Wisdom podcast for 2-3 years, and recently I knew that he reached 3 million subscribers lately, and the latest episode is 1,000 of something episodes, which is incredible. I know that his main job is podcaster and / influencer, but still, it's still amazing that he was consistent for several years, maybe a decade. Yeah, but still, it's incredible. But again, I know that I shouldn't compare to anyone, but still, the fact that I made myself to be consistent till me making my 30th episode is incredible. I'm just saying this because I don't think I've been very consistent about anything. Maybe, yeah, I think I became a bit more consistent and be able to be more, I don't know, endurance became one of my strong point in my late 20s, which is very, very recent. But before that, I was told by my parents that I'm not really enduring a pain that comes when you want to be something. For example, if you want to achieve a good academic scores, then you should endure the pain while you're studying, right? You should be able to endure the pain that follows when you want to achieve that academic goals. But I remember when I was younger, I definitely wasn't that kind of person. But now I think I'm learning how to endure things. I'm learning how to kind of be able to be consistent and persevere. That's the word, persevere. So yeah. So that's me just kind of praising about myself. But I just wanted to be thankful to myself, and I wanted to be kind to myself about that I was consistent in the language that isn't even my native language. And yeah. Anyways, I hope I can keep making these episodes until maybe, so this was 30th, so the last time I'm going to congratulate will be my hundreds, 200s, 300s. So this is just me just telling myself that, Helsu, just be consistent, you'll be fine, you do well, and just be consistent. I mean, having a good quality podcast is amazing, of course, like a lot of professional podcasters do. But since I have a job, I have a corporate job, and I'm in Japan, which means when it comes to language, it burdens a lot compared to me working in Korea, of course, because I'm working in languages that isn't even my native language, and it's not gonna really facilitate my productivity when it comes to work, because I know that I can't perform perfectly in my non-native language. So because I'm in Japan, I know that I should work on my languages, plus I should also be very, very professional and very, very strive with my professionals, like architecture, my digital architecture, and all the other things. There are so many things I've studied. So anyways, since it's been 2 weeks that I haven't spoken in my podcast, I have so many things to tell, and like always, I don't make any scripts. I don't think I'm kind of person who can follow the script, because I'm such a yapper. I don't think, even if I write script, I don't think I will follow that script. So this is who I am, just talking everything that I want to say. I think actually I've been very looking forward to talk today, because as you can see, the title of the podcast today is The Importance of Being Vulnerable. And it might sound cringe, but I really wanted to talk about this because the book that I'm reading right now is called The Myth of Normal by Garbor Maté. I don't know if you guys have heard this author's name. I didn't even notice that I was reading his book until I checked the cover of my book, because I have a book cover, which means my book is always going to be covered and not going to be able to see the name of the author for a very long time. But once I noticed the name of the author, I was startled, because I'm such a podcast addictor. I've been listening to podcasts like those and there, and I think I've heard his name quite often from many various podcasts. So until quarter of the book, I didn't even notice that I'm reading a book by someone that I very much knew from the previous podcasters and previous podcast episodes. So basically, he's a doctor, he's a physician, and so I'm reading the description of the author in the book. It says, Dr. Garbor Maté, a celebrated speaker and best-selling author, Dr. Garbor Maté is highly sought after for his expertise on a range of topics, such as addiction, stress, and childhood development. Dr. Maté has written several best-selling books, including the award-winning The Realm of Hungry Ghosts, When the Body Says No, Scattered Minds, and, as co-author, Hold On To Your Kids. His works have been published internationally in nearly 40 languages. And yeah, he's already very famous and very celebrated. And he wrote this book with his son. Also, he's not a doctor. So he's a co-author who is Daniel Maté. And he's a composer, lyricist, and playwright for the musical theatre. So definitely not a doctor, but still, he's a co-author. And I've been reading this book the halfway now, and I've been loving it. First of all, I thought this book was strictly about health, based on very scientific reasons and scientific roots. But it turns out a lot of content was about the spiritual aspect of health and how mental and physical health is connected. And so while I was reading it through, I found a fantastic quote that I really want to share about with you guys. So it talks about vulnerabilities, like my title says. So it's in the chapter called Forcing the Brain in the Wrong Direction. And it talks about the importance of being vulnerable, basically. And as a person who uploaded an episode about my failures, and I was being quite vulnerable, and because it's been several months from now, I think I've talked about almost every failure I experienced in my life. I talked about my heartbreaks. I talked about me being completely embarrassed, completely damaged, completely scattered because of a person, because of a failure, because of, I don't know, anything else. And I remember me talking about my failures very outwardly, exposing myself to the public. I know that very few people are listening to this podcast, but still, I was publishing my failure to everyone who has access of internet, right? So because of that action, I definitely felt very free. Even though I was exposing the most humiliating and most embarrassing part of my life, after I recorded the episode and published it, I somehow felt very fresh and very, I don't know, liberating even. And it was part of the healing process for me to get not rid of it, but be able to kind of accept that failure, be able to like kind of digest it and be able to find a lesson inside it. And yeah, that was my healing process, by being vulnerable. And we're living in a society where it's very bad to be vulnerable. Well, except when it comes to relationships, but still, we're living in I remember a Taylor Swift speech about her saying, what was it? It was something like effortlessness is a myth. Yeah, that was a quote. She said, effortlessness is myth. Being cool is myth, basically. Like, you should never blame or embarrass people about them trying their best. And there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts whatsoever. All you have to do is just trying your best and doing your best is the first step, the first critical step for you to be good at something. And anyway, why am I talking about that? Anyways, so I think that connect her saying that effortlessness is a myth, and being embarrassed and being kind of ashamed about you being vulnerable can be part of the growth. And that kind of connected to the context of this book. So I want to start by reading the quote from the book. So it's in the chapter called Forcing the Brain the Wrong Direction, like I said before. So it's about it's a part where the author talks about the relationship between kids' education, like childcare, and the connection and letting the child to be vulnerable can be one of the key education for them to be, I don't know, mature. So I'll read it for you. It says, when children become invulnerable, they cease to relate to life as infinite possibility, to themselves a boundless potential, and to the world as welcoming and nurturing area for their self-expression. The vulnerability imposed by peer orientation comparisons, children in their limitations and fears. No wonder so many of them these days are being treated for depression, anxiety, and other disorders. The love, attention, and security early adults can offer liberate children from the end to make themselves invulnerable, and restores to them the potential for life and adventure that can never come from risky activities, extreme sports, or drugs. So basically, it says, when I was reading this part in the train, I remember I just kind of, it was that breathtaking moment. I don't know what else to describe. It really was a breathtaking moment to read this quote. It kind of scratched the part of my back that I've been feeling very itchy for years and years. It's something I really wanted to articulate it, but it was really, really hard to articulate it, about humans being vulnerable and the reason why it's important to be vulnerable. And this quote perfectly depicted, explained what's important, saying, so when children, I don't think it can only impose to children only. I think it can also implement to adults as well. So let's replace it to humans then. So when humans become invulnerable, they cease to relate to life as an infinite possibility, to themselves a boundless potential, and to the world as a welcoming and nurturing area for them self-expression. So when I was reading this, I kind of imagined myself as a person who is impossible to be vulnerable. I mean, I kind of show myself to be kind of fragile and vulnerable person, because I do worry a lot, I do think a lot, I'm an overthinker, and I do consider too much. And that kind of connects to me, that I'm a little bit vulnerable and a little bit fragile person. But I kind of try to imagine myself that me became impossible to be vulnerable. And if I imagine that, things became very, very horrible. For example, it means, let's say that I became impossible to be vulnerable. It means, according to this book, is that I will stop to relate to a life as infinite possibility. And that's kind of true, isn't it? Because if I don't feel vulnerable, let's say when it comes to learning languages, and I remember when I started my part-time job in the cafe 3 years ago in Japan, I remember I wasn't even able to read the number properly. And for the couple of weeks, it was such a hard moment for me to adapt to the new environment, to be able to work in the language that I've been learning for 6 months. And I felt very vulnerable, obviously. I kind of had a panic attack in the middle of the shift. I remember one of my superior, she was really, really sweet. She was really kind. She kindly asked me to move to the staff room and told me to take a deep breath and do come back if you feel better, if you ever collect yourself, and if you ever feel like you can come back, then you can come back. So yeah, I felt very, very fragile and vulnerable, because I'm in a country where it's almost mandatory to learn that language if you want to survive there, which is Japan. And there am I, who's been studying Japanese for 6 months at that time, not even be able to read the numbers, and I'm working in the cafe, and the customers are angry. So I just kind of thought, like, what should I do? I feel horrible. Like, what am I doing here? What can I do? So I was burdened with so many questions, so many like self-sabotage about, what are you doing here? How can you not even read the numbers properly, even though you've been learning the language, only the language, for 6 months? You haven't done anything except learning Japanese. So I felt very ashamed, very embarrassed, basically very vulnerable. But because of that moment, because of that experience, because of what I felt embarrassing and such a shameful moment, because I overcame that, I became who I am, who got a job in Japan, being able to work in Japan. I'm not saying I'm fluent, but at least I was able to get the job in the language that I was struggling just even with the numbers. So not only with the language, a lot of things that I felt like I kind of came with that, I kind of be able to say that I'm okay with it, came from me being vulnerable and being me accepting the fact that I'm vulnerable. So on the next page, it also kind of has an amazing quote about being vulnerable. So it says, nothing in nature becomes itself without being vulnerable. I just love this sentence. It's true because, so the sentence goes, the mightiest tree's growth requires soft and supple shoots, just as the hardest shelled, sorry, I can't read that, crustacean, I think it's part of the tree, I guess, must first molt and become soft. So again, basically, nothing in nature becomes itself without being vulnerable. It really is. Like, imagine a person who is impossible to be vulnerable. And do I even want to be friend with them? Do I even want to be around them? It's absolutely no for me. Because, again, we grow from being vulnerable. We grow from being able to accept the fact that I'm vulnerable. I mean, also, but still, you have to exclude the part where people who kind of avoids their vulnerability, that's kind of a trap. But I'm saying in the sense that people who is accepting that they are vulnerable, and even though it's shameful, even though it's so embarrassing, the fact that being vulnerable means there's a potential for you to grow, I believe. And it also kind of, and I have so many experiences that I can say to describe as a, I don't know, as a, oh, I can't, now I can't come up with the English word. So evidence, sorry. I have so many experiences and so many circumstances that I came through that I can have evidence for that, you know. So I just wanted to say, most of my growths, most of my improvements, most of my, I don't know, me achieving goals came from me feeling vulnerable, being shocked about my failure, being embarrassed, totally damaged, and kind of, I don't know, crushed by my failures and my embarrassment. And that vulnerability made me grow, and that's the starting point for me to grow and mature and be the person that I wanted to be. So I just want to say we should be able to embrace people, embrace yourself to be vulnerable, and so still you really don't have to stop. You just can't stay the part that you just, so I just want to say, you can't stay being vulnerable. Still, you've got to work on yourself, not only stopping or starting from being vulnerable. Still, you have to move on. You still have to keep going. So I think I talked about my motto, which was, don't let it in. So one of my motto was like, one of my motto was that, I forgot that. So one of my motto is that accept it and just move on. Sorry. So I just want to say it's okay to be vulnerable, and like it says in the book, it says nothing in nature becomes itself without being vulnerable. So let's accept the fact that we're vulnerable, and not only by accepting the vulnerability of yourself, let's move on and just keep going, because nothing in nature becomes itself without being vulnerable. And the quirk becoming itself can mean growth and you becoming the person that you want to be. And I also want to say to myself, because I lately felt a bit vulnerable about me working in completely new environment, completely new people, and somehow it is inevitable for me to be not vulnerable, because again, I'm in a completely new environment and in a completely new kind of workplace, and I'm working in a language that I don't really feel confident even. So even though I'm feeling vulnerable every day, I know that I'm growing and improving every day. And yeah, that I think that's why this part of this book I was able to resonate with this part of this book, because it's basically my situation right now. And I just want to share it to my lovely listeners in my podcast about this, saying the importance of being vulnerable. Because if you decide yourself to be invulnerable, it means that you will cease to relate to life as infinite possibility, to themselves as boundless potential, and the world as welcoming and nurturing. If you stop being vulnerable, it means that you will not be exposed to a world that is welcoming and nurturing, an arena for the self-expression. So it's okay to be vulnerable. It's the starting point for you to grow, and you're becoming yourself, basically. So yeah, God, it's so hard to speak in English while 90% of my language environment is in Japanese. So I really should study hard and practice hard, don't I? But again, I won't stop, even though I feel vulnerable right now, me being vulnerable with the language. But still, I know that I have to accept it and move on and keep going. So thank you for everyone who still kept on listening to this very messy podcast episode for today. But this is everything for today. So it's okay to be vulnerable, everyone, because it's that's the starting point of the growth. So yeah, I hope you have a great week and a great weekend. So I hope we can see next week as well. Thank you. Bye.